Welcome to our YouTube channel. In this video, we will learn about UiPath arguments. In earlier video, we have seen how variables are defined and its scope in UiPath. If you have not seen that video, then I would recommend click on I button here and watch that video. Let's move on with the arguments. What are the arguments in UiPath? Before continuing with the argument, let's see the difference between variables and arguments. The variables are used to pass the values from one activity to another activity, whereas arguments are used to pass the values from one workflow to another workflow. The second difference is that the variable doesn't have any direction, whereas the arguments has specific directions like in, out, or in and out. Argument types tell the robot where the information stored in argument is supposed to go. Arguments are a key component when it comes to building a more complex automation where you need to store and use data between multiple workflows. In this video, we will learn how to invoke the workflow in our automation project and how to use the arguments. Breaking the automation processes into a smaller workflow is a good project design. Dedicated workflows allow independent testing of different components. Also, it encourages the team to work on a separate project by developing the separate workflow file. When working with the multiple workflows, instead of variable, we use arguments to pass the data between parent and child workflows. Let's get started with an example. If you are new to our channel and you have not yet subscribed, then please subscribe to our channel and be the first person to get the notifications. Also, do not forget to like and share this video. Here, I will add a new sequence. Let's rename it as a calculation. This sequence will take two values, which will be double data type values, and it will add those values and store it in a sum variable. And later, this workflow will be invoked in a main file, main.xml file. Now, let's create an argument with the name of sum, which will store the addition of two double variables. And here we can select the direction of this argument. There are three different types of directions: in, out, and in and out. The in argument is used to pass the data into invoke workflow. Then second, out argument is used to extract the data from invoke workflow. And in and out argument works both the way. The property option can be used to indicate that an argument is not currently in use without having deleted from the list. We will use some argument to pass the addition of two double variables to main workflow. So thus, we will have to choose the direction of this variable as out. And the argument name, we will add the prefix that is out before the sum argument. Okay. Then we can select the argument type, that is the data type, from the list of available data types. Here I will have to select the double data type, and for that I will click on the browse types here and I will select double from the list. Then I will create two more arguments, which will be in type of argument, that is first value. I'll select it as a double, and another one is in second value. This will also be double type of data type. Okay, for the arguments which have a in type of direction, we can set the default value here, but any value that we pass to the argument from the invoke workflow will overwrite. Lastly, create one more argument, which will be in and out type of argument that will display the current stage of the calculation. And name of this argument will be IO exception info. And this will be in and out type of argument. The data type will be a string. Let's log the value of the IO exception info argument and then add the actual calculation steps. For that, I will add a log message activity here. In the calculation sequence, the log level will be information, and log the IO exception info here. IO exception info, and then add the assign activity to add the first value and second value, and the result will be stored in a sum argument, that is the out type of argument. So for that I will add the assign activity here, and here I will write out sum is equal to in first value plus in second value. So this will result the addition of these two values and will store it in a out sum argument. Let's add one more assign activity, and let's assign the value to calculation completed. And that's it for this. Let's save this workflow and go to main workflow here. Let's invoke the calculation workflow in the main workflow. For that I can add the invoke workflow activity, invoke workflow file, and we can configure it here. The second way is that I will delete this activity and I'll go to the project here and just drag and drop the calculation file. So here the configuration has been done automatically. Let's click on import argument here, and you can see the arguments from the calculation workflow. Here I will have to define the variable to store the sum value in another variable. So for that I'll press the control key and select the variable as and rename the variable as sum. Same thing applies for IO input and output type of variable as well. So here I will define it as a exception info, control plus K, and exception info. This is the variable. Okay, here we can pass the hard coded value to the calculation workflow. Let's pass this as 100, and second value will be 30. Okay, and let's click on OK button. Let's check the variable once. So this is a sum which is created as a double type of variable, and the scope of this variable is in this sequence. Okay, and the exception info is also created with this string variable. The scope of this variable is also the same sequence. Okay, so here the configuration is done in the main workflow. So to log the message and result, I will add the log message activity here, and I will print the result as well as the exception information. So here exception info is equal to result plus sum dot to string. Okay, so this will print the exception information as well as the result. So now all the configuration has been set. Before running this workflow, let's assign the default value to exception information variable. This will be before calculation. Let's run the workflow and see the output. Okay, let me go to the output panel here. Let's understand how the log has been created after running this workflow. The first line is that this is the default line for every UiPath workflow. The UiPath argument workflow execution started, and then later it printed the value of the exception info variable. The default value which we had set is before calculation. Then it has printed calculation completed as well as the final result of the sum. Let's understand how in, out, and in and out arguments are working. Here, if you look in the main workflow, the first activity is to call the calculation.xml file. Whenever execution started, the UiPath workflow calls this calculation.xml file. Let's go in a calculation.xml file, and here the first activity is print the log message. The whatever information that has been stored in IO exception info variable will be printed. The default value for the IO exception info was set as a before calculation. So this information is printed here. Next activity is in a calculation XML file is that assign activity, which will add the first value and second value and will store the addition in some variable which is a out type of argument, and The next activity is also a assign activity where we are changing the value of IO exception info variable to calculation completed. After executing this calculation.xml file, the execution pointer will go back to main file, and here depending on the argument type it fetches the information. As soon as the execution pointer goes to main.xml file, if you see in the import argument, here the value of outsum argument will be stored in a sum variable, and the value of IO exception info argument will be stored in the exception info. The next activity is again log the message. Here we are printing the value of exception info plus the result of the addition, and the same message is printed here. Calculation completed and result is 130. I hope the concept of argument is cleared now. If you have any more question, then please do not forget to comment in this video. I will try to reply your comments as soon as possible. Also, do not forget to like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.